Hi, I'm Tammy French. Today I'm going to talk to you about Chapter 2 from the textbook called The Art of Public Speaking by Stephen Lucas. The chapter is called Ethics and Public Speaking. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that if you want to watch this entire presentation with closed captioning, please visit the COMMUNIC8 submenu on the UWW-TV website at UWW-TV.org. So, ethics and public speaking. Now, you've heard of ethics plenty of times. I'm sure you've talked about ethics in various classes, but ethics and public speaking might be something a little different. First, let's start by talking about what ethics is. Well, we know that ethics deals with issues of right and wrong. You know, I have a definition of ethics I really like. It's actually from the old television show Frasier. I'm not sure how many of you know that show. It was popular in the 80s and maybe into the 90s a little bit. Frasier was this psychiatrist, and he lived with his dad. And at one point in the show, he said to him, "Dad, you always taught me that ethics are what you do when no one else is looking." I really like that definition. What you do when no one else is looking. I think that really sums it up. So think of it this way. I don't know, you're walking down a hallway in one of the classrooms or one of the buildings on campus here, and you see a piece of paper right next to the garbage can. No one else is in the hallway. Do you pick it up and throw it in the garbage, or do you walk by? No one will know. No one's going to be there to pat you on the back if you pick it up and throw it away like you should, but no one's going to be there to yell at you if you don't do it either. So what do you do? I think that's a great definition of ethics. We often face ethical dilemmas in our life, right? Where maybe we know the right thing to do, but gosh, there's some other thing in the way that prevents it from being a real clear-cut, easy decision to make. Ethics can really impact our public speaking as well, and this chapter is going to cover some of the ways that can happen. When we think about ethical speaking and we think about the ways we want to be able to kind of be an ethical speaker and do the right thing when it comes to our speech, there's a couple guidelines that we can think of. One guideline is that we make ethically sound goals. In other words, that what we set out to do in our speech is ethical. It aligns with our own goals and our own values. Now, I have a picture on the slide of one of those old-fashioned lawnmowers. Maybe some of you have never even seen this before. This is what perhaps your great-grandparents might have used to mow their lawn. It's this little manual lawnmower, so there's no engine or motor on it of any kind. It's just got blades, and you push it, and it takes a lot of sweat work in order to get it done, as you can imagine, because it's 100% powered by the person that's pushing it, right? So, talking about some unique speech topics I've heard over the years. Many years ago, I used to teach at UW-Oshkosh, and I had a student at Oshkosh that gave a persuasive speech persuading all of us that someday when we have a lawn, when we have a house or an apartment that we need to mow, we use this kind of a mower. That in essence, there's so many good reasons to use it. First of all, it's so much better for the environment because there's no chemicals being spit out by the motor that's running or anything else. Secondly, it's a great workout because, as I pointed out, it's a lot of pushing and pulling, and it's a lot of work, right? And then again, particularly if people have a pretty small yard and things, it doesn't take that long. It can be really great. So just a really interesting speech. I have to admit, I'd never even considered or thought about that as a topic before. So it was well done, and it was pretty clever and interesting. So the student, after he gave the speech, sat down, and people were clapping for him. And I heard his buddies say, hey, so do you have one of those lawnmowers? And he said, Oh God, no, I would never use one of those. I mean, come on. You just gave your speech trying to get us to do it, and now you just said you would never use that. Disappointing, right? Now, again, what's the big deal if you persuade us about mowing a lawn one way or the other? But it comes more down to principles, right? Is this how you're going to kind of conduct yourself in life, whether at your workplace or whether in your personal life, where you're going to try to get people to do things that you won't do yourself? That kind of comes down to ethics. So we want to try to make sure that the goals we set forth for the audience to do are certainly things that we would adhere to for ourselves. The second bullet point here is to be fully prepared. It's important, of course, that we do our best to make sure our assignment is coming along the right way. But sometimes it happens where we run out of time. We just don't have as much time to put towards our outline or to preparing our speech as we would like. And unfortunately, it's when we're not fully prepared that we cut corners. I know this is true for me in my personal life. If I'm trying to think of this great thing I'm going to make for dinner and I'm running out of time, guess what? I'm going to cut corners and probably just go buy some fast food for the family or something. Unfortunately, in public speaking, if we have a student that is choosing to cut corners because they're running out of time, so many times cutting corners can mean plagiarizing. And of course, that is the wrong thing to do. We're going to actually talk about plagiarizing a little more in a few minutes here, but we want to make sure we're fully prepared so that we're not in any way lured to try to cut corners and to not be ethical. Some more guidelines continuing on here is to, of course, avoid name calling or abusive speech. You know, we never want to do that. We never want to talk about people, even people that aren't present in our room or groups of people that aren't present in our room in a demeaning way. That's not ethical. And we want to put principles into practice. And this kind of goes back towards that goal talk we had a few minutes ago. We want to make sure that what our principles are, that gets disseminated in our speech. Now, this person that you see on the slide, I don't know if any of you recognize this individual. His name is Eliot Spitzer. Eliot Spitzer was the governor of New York in the 2000s. And he was thought of as a great governor at first because he was doing a lot to clean up the streets of New York. So he was doing a lot to clean up some of the white collar problems that Wall Street was having. He was also really, really well known for cleaning up prostitution and getting people help and getting some of the women off the streets that were having problems with that. And again, cleaning up the streets of New York. That was his big thing. So he was making a really big name for himself worldwide for the great work he was doing in this. But then, I'm reading from an article that's dated March 10th, 2008. Governor Eliot Spitzer, who gained national prominence relentlessly pursuing Wall Street wrongdoing and prostitution, has been caught on a federal wiretap arranging to meet with a high-priced prostitute at a Washington hotel last month. Eliot, what are you doing? I mean, that's no good for any politician, let alone someone who's known for going against exactly what he was just busted for. So in terms of our own principles, we have to make sure we're putting our principles into practice when it comes to these ethics. Now, I said we're going to talk about plagiarism. Let's get to that. I know this term plagiarism is something you guys have heard of before. You know that what it is it's when you give off someone else's ideas, but you act as if they are your own, okay? And there's lots of different ways that can happen, whether you're stealing ideas from Albert Einstein and pretending they are yours, or whether you're stealing ideas from your roommate and pretending they're yours. Plagiarism is wrong. And nowhere more than on a university campus, of course, are we going to be trying really hard not only to teach you, of course, how to not do it, but we're also going to be watching for it and listening for it, okay? So the thing is, plagiarism, I've had students tell me that they have accidentally plagiarized. They have plagiarized without realizing they've plagiarized. And so for the next few minutes, this is some of the areas we want to concentrate on, is how to make sure that you don't accidentally make that mistake, that you are confident in the fact that you are citing your sources and giving credit where credit is due. So there's three types of plagiarism we're going to cover today: global plagiarism, patchwork plagiarism, and incremental plagiarism. They're all just a little different, and some of them are done sort of, I guess, more accidentally than others, but nevertheless, we want to avoid all of them. So to start with, global plagiarism. Global plagiarism is taking one thing and calling it yours. So these are the students, and unfortunately and very sadly, we have at least a handful of these every semester, who decide to find a roommate or a friend who has had this class before, and they take their roommate's name off the top of their speech outline and they put their name on the top of the speech outline and turn it in. And of course, that's obviously plagiarism. It's not yours. This would also apply to people who find speeches online, who find speeches through cyberspace and try to claim that this entire speech is yours. Thankfully, we have this process called Turn It In, which all of your outlines will be run through to make sure that people avoid that. I can tell you that this class is not that hard, that creating your own outline will be well worth it, okay? Plagiarism can result in you getting kicked out of the class. It can result in you getting kicked out of the university even. And so we want to avoid anything along those lines, right? So global plagiarism is the obvious one that anyone knows is plagiarism. Perhaps a less obvious one, though, is called patchwork plagiarism. This is where you take ideas and language from perhaps a couple of sources. The best example I can use of this is where a student, maybe the student has 3 main points for their speech. And for their first main point, they find a source, maybe an article, and it says exactly what they wanted to say. And so they're pretty pumped up about that. And what the student ends up doing is taking the whole chunk, maybe a whole paragraph from this article, and plunking it right into that main point 1. And voila, main point 1 is done. So just like a patchwork quilt, if you think of big chunks of fabric in the quilt, this student has taken big chunks of information. And it's a problem for 2 reasons. Number 1, very often in this situation, the student will forget to cite the source. And by cite the source, we mean that the student tells us who the author is, who the source is, what date this came from, and those kinds of things. You tell us where it came from. But even beyond that, that's too much. That's too much information to come from somewhere else. Here's what to do instead. So again, let's say you found this source that says exactly what you wanted to say. Instead of taking this much, take this much, and then cite the source, and then you go ahead and interpret it for us. You explain it. You tell us essentially why this is so great and so important and how it really applies to your speech. But you take other people's work and cite it, and then go on and add your work, add your thoughtful interpretation to it so that you can make sure that, again, you're getting yourself into the content of your speech, right? So patchwork plagiarism, again, it's where big chunks of information are being plopped into the speech. We want to avoid that as much as possible. The last one is the littlest one, if you will. It's called incremental plagiarism. And this is, again, failing to give credit to sources. Here's how we usually see this one coming into play, where a student will find maybe just 1 or 2 sentences and pull the 1 or 2 sentences and put them into their speech without giving credit, without telling us who is the author, what is the date of this source, what is the title of the source you got it from, okay? This is something that we have to work on. This is the one that's done sometimes accidentally, students will tell us, but it doesn't make it any less serious. So we really have to be careful. Anytime you're using information that did not come from your own brain, you need to cite the source, okay? Now let me give you a little clue. Anytime that you're using any kind of a statistic, that's like a red flag for us teachers that, well, we better see that there's some kind of citation here. So if you say, 23% of Americans say they like bowling. Okay, great. But who said it? If you're going to use a statistic, we're going to expect to hear, according to Bowling Lovers magazine from their February 14th issue, right? We're going to expect to hear some attribution for where you got that. Statistics are really red flags to us as far as looking for those citations and listening for those citations. So please make sure you cite your sources. So once again, just to kind of sum up some of these plagiarism things, make sure that you are not only putting your name on your papers and making sure that you are doing your own work, but you're also using just smaller chunks of information from your sources. You're going ahead and elaborating on those and interpreting those for us, but you're also citing the source and telling us where you found it. That's the most important thing. Now, when we think of plagiarism, we have to say a special word about the internet, the blessed internet that can find anything for us at any time. We know that it's sort of a blessing and a curse in a way, because sometimes there's some real junk on the internet too. But what's happened to me, it's happened to my own kids, my own children in my family, as they've been doing some of their research for projects and things too. You can get bogged down as you're digging into things online. You start opening up all these web pages, right? And pretty soon you've got all these different things open on your computer. You don't even realize how much you have, and then you can't find it. Then maybe at the very beginning of your search, you had this great piece of information you wanted, but things are all jumbled. Now you can't go, you just don't know where it went. Be really careful of that. I highly suggest that you sort of go old school and maybe just have a notebook and a pen handy, and you actually take some notes as you're digging around online, because then that will help you go back to find that source that you really, really need. Make sure that you're finding good, useful sources that, again, have an author and a date and a title that can go with it. There's lots of stuff online that have no authors and no dates, and it's probably not as credible of a source in that case, right? So just be really careful with anytime you're using those kinds of things. Now, in terms of ethics and where we go from here, we know that even listening needs to be ethical. Now, this probably sounds a little strange, like as I'm sitting here in the audience, what do I need to pay attention to? Well, as listeners, we want to be ethical listeners by making sure we're giving respect to the speaker. We want to make sure we're paying attention and our focus is where it needs to be, that I'm not on my phone, that my focus is on the speaker, that I'm being appropriate to my speaker. And, you know, maybe if my speaker's trying to crack a joke, I smile to support that speaker, to make sure that that person is getting the support they need. So we need to be really, really careful and make sure that we are being ethical listeners as well, that we're not shortchanging the two-way street that we know that speech making is. So we have to watch that. Guidelines include, again, being courteous, being attentive, making sure our focus is in front of the room, in front of the speaker, and also just being careful not to prejudge the speaker. Perhaps, you know, we're going through this class as the semester goes on, and maybe the speaker didn't do such a great job the first time around. We want to make sure we're doing our very best to not assume that he or she is also going to kind of make some mistakes this time, but give them our full, again, our full encouragement and our full attention. So in terms of ethics and public speaking, we know that there's some things we have to consider. We want to consider making sure that I'm doing the right thing as best I can, that I'm really putting myself and my principles into my speech. I'm being respectful of my listeners as well. And perhaps the biggest thing to come out of this chapter is that I'm going to be careful to not plagiarize, not do it on purpose, certainly, but also not do it accidentally by somehow forgetting to put in my sources or something like that. Being prepared will help with this, getting a nice head start on this project. We have to look at our speech projects in this class as something that needs some time. We need to spend time on it. It's not an assignment we can cram, at least not very successfully. So I want to thank you very much for listening, and once again just remind you that if you want to watch this presentation with closed captioning, you can visit the COMMUNIC8 submenu on the UWW-TV website at uww.tv.org.